All right, good morning, everyone. Happy July. Wow, it's July 15th. We are in the second half of this year. Time flies by. I am going to, well, let me make sure this is broadcasting to my sports channel. And that's not the button I need to push. Yep, I see the live icon and I see the snowman icon. So we are live. Let me click on that. There's the ad. So I'm going to share this on my original channel. I made an announcement there on Thursday to let folks know that I'm hosting Snowman this morning. So let me make this announcement and then we will jump in. This is going to be a fun one. Okay. Just do this really quickly. Not doing anything. Please join us. All right, so let me go back. All right, everyone. This is well, let me do my own branding here. Welcome back to Big Discussions 76 Sports. That's the logo my brother Amal Dunbar created for me. So I'm not going to play any Michigan music this morning. You can see I'm donning my Michigan gear. I'm repping my team. I'm an alumni. But with the guest I have today, we're gonna cover the gamut. We're gonna start off in a certain place, a funny place, and then we're just gonna go for a little while and see where it goes. Um, I've shared Snowman's his broadcasts on my community tab before. When he's on in the morning, oftentimes due to my good government job, I am entrenched in a meeting over some sort of regulatory document, so I don't have the time to watch all the time. But as we'll describe, Snowman goes hard every morning, every day. So he's going to talk to us about that, and then we're just going to talk about sports, talk about college football, the NFL, the NBA, maybe a little baseball. But we're going to start in a specific place. And if folks want to join us later on after I finish with my Q&A, because I want to get my Q&A in with them first, I can open it up. So with that, I'm going to bring up the Snowman. Good morning, Snowman.
Good morning, my friend.
How you
It's an
doing?
honor to talk with you.
Well, it's an honor to have you here. Okay. See, well, we'll see. I got my Michigan mug too. So
You know what's crazy?
what's
My
that?
first favorite college football stadium was Michigan Stadium because CBS used to televise Big Ten games, and
Hmm.
I've always wanted to see the big house. I've always wanted to see the big house.
Have you gone?
Not yet.
Okay.
I plan. I'm planning on it.
Okay. Well, you can see I have your stadium tour right there as the background.
Yep.
Well, geez, I don't know if I should bring it up now, but where are you planning on going?
It it depends because it's an idea that hit me um, because of a popular YouTuber and his fundraising for St. Jude, and I wanted to do the same for cancer research, and I also wanted to do that for not just cancer research, but the Hamlin Foundation and for my family. And when we get everything situated, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And that's my beautiful wife's words to me. Then we're gonna plan it out. But before I found out I was in remission from pancreatic cancer, she's always told me that she wanted me to see every stadium that I wanted to see, and one of them that's on the docket is Michigan Stadium in Ann Arbor.
Okay. All right. Well, you mentioned your supportive wife, your lovely supportive wife, every show. So uh, I'm sure she's gonna come up again. But when you go, you'll dig it. I noticed.
I know I will.
I You know what? I can say that I've only been to 3 Big Ten stadiums. I want to go out to Nebraska this year because I've never been.
Right.
I want to go up to the Minnesota game. Their stadium is small. I was looking at the map; it's small.
Yeah.
I've been
Huntington
I've been
Bank
to
Huntington Bank Stadium is small compared to where they used to play, which was the Metrodome.
the Metrodome, right, right. And then they come to Maryland here every other year, but I still don't consider Maryland to be a
Mm,
Big Ten school.
I consider Maryland an ACC school, man. I consider Rutgers the Big East, Nebraska the Big Eight, and forget the Big 12. It's the Big Eight as far as I'm concerned.
Yep.
And I always consider Penn State an independent because Penn State started the expansion in the Big Ten in 1994
Yeah.
when they joined. I'm old and I'm old school, and it just doesn't feel right for us to have so many teams in the Big Ten conference when it's labeled the Big Ten.
Right. Right. I mean, you could geographically, maybe you could argue that Penn State belongs in there, maybe because they're
Well,
kind of
Penn
they're kind
State.
of on the edge.
Well, Penn State is like you said, geographically they're teetering on the edge. But what the hell are we doing going to New Jersey playing Rutgers or to Lincoln, Nebraska to play Nebraska? When I think of Nebraska, like I said, I think of the Big Eight. Nebraska, Colorado, Kansas, Missouri. I think of the old Big Eight.
Hmm. And now Los Angeles. That's going to be insane.
The logistical nightmare that's facing USC and UCLA is going
Yeah,
to be nuts, especially when they have to come to the big house or come to Champaign or come to or
Horseshoe.
come to
Yeah,
Evanston or Lincoln, Nebraska. The logistical nightmare is going to be crazy. It's not like going from Los Angeles to Tucson, Arizona, or Phoenix, Arizona, where Arizona State is. That's nearby. You're talking about each trip logging at least 2,000 miles.
yeah. That's gonna be insane.
That's going to be nuts.
All right. Well, we'll come back to all that.
All
So,
right.
Snowman. So, thank you for being here. So, tell us about yourself. We'll get to your show, but where are you from?
I am from Chicago,
Okay, so you are a Midwesterner then.
born and raised.
Okay, are you from within the city? You from outside
I am
neighborhoods?
a South Sider, born and bred.
Okay. Now, for those who are, I've only been to Chicago a handful of times.
Mhm.
Isaiah, Arthur Agee, William Gates. Are
Mark
they from
Aguilar.
West Chicago or are they from the South Side?
They are from, well, Isaiah played at St. Joseph's in Westchester.
Yep.
Mark Aguirre played at Westinghouse, and that's within Chicago. Arthur Agee played at Marshall. But yeah, we got some Chicago legends, including the first legend I ever had a chance to cover from Chicago, Quentin Richardson,
Okay. Okay. Who played at DePaul?
who played at DePaul and he played at Whitney Young High School.
Okay. Yeah, some argue that Chicago is just as much, if not more, of a basketball mecca than New York City.
It's on the cusp. It's right. It's right there. It's kind of teetered off. It's kind of teetered off a little bit, but when you mention Chicago high school meccas, the first two that people will always mention will be Chicago and New York.
Hmm. Okay, so since you're from Chicago, did you get to see Benji Wilson play any?
I did not.
Okay,
I've read stories about him and I've seen him on film because when he unfortunately was killed in 1984, I was just growing up.
okay. Did you see the 30 for 30 documentary?
Yes,
Powerful, wasn't it?
brilliant.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, I was awed at his talent. I mean, I think I was 8 years old when that happened, so I didn't really
Yeah.
know what was going on. I was watching cartoons, but
Oh,
when
who
you look
was
at his, yeah.
who
Well,
was it?
you know, Snowman, you asked me a question. You were doing a show with another gentleman,
Hmm.
and you asked me about baseball. It was either through the chat or by text.
Hmm.
Part of my story is that my folks split when I was 3. So my
Ah.
dad was in another city, and my dad was a baseball guy. So
Hmm.
if he was in the house, I probably would have taken more of a liking for baseball. But my
Right.
other uncles, well, I got 5 uncles. They kind of weren't. Now they'll get mad at me for saying this. Someone's gonna get mad at me for saying this, but they weren't around as much. So I tend to think if they were around watching the
Hmm.
games, I would
Yeah.
have started watching the games earlier myself.
Yeah, I got you. I got
So
you. I
so
know I know
along
many
with
a man. I know many a man who's been through that.
yeah, along with the cartoons.
Yes, along with the cartoons.
Okay. So you're from the south side of Chicago.
Yes, sir.
How did you take an interest in sports broadcasting and journalism early, or is this something that took root later on in your life?
I'd say it was pretty early because the first great voice I heard was Vin Scully when he
Okay.
used to do football for CBS, and it really took root in 1985 when I saw the Bulls and the Bucks play on Sports Channel in their playoff series, and a fellow named Jim Durham was introduced to me. The Bulls games was broadcast on WIND at the time, and this was the year prior to Jim teaming up with Johnny Red Kerr, who at the time only did television broadcasts on Sports Channel. Well, I heard Jim Durham's voice describe that game, and a simple thought came into my head: if he can do it, I can do it.
Hmm. Okay. Jim Durham. Okay. Now, did you play any in middle school, high school?
Baseball,
Baseball. Okay.
baseball.
What was your draw to playing baseball versus football or basketball?
Well, let's see. It started with Greg Luzinski, and then Ron Kittle, and then Dave Winfield, longtime Yankee. Of course, Reggie Jackson, which is where my mom was a Yankee fan. So I watched the Yankees for a while. My dad was a South Sider, so the first game I ever went to was a White Sox game. Um, just so many people that I watched at the time with my dad and with my mom, and that really got me rooted in baseball.
Okay. Okay. I was just thinking as you were saying that now, what's also unique about Chicago, you guys have two baseball teams.
Yep.
So it must be impossible to not pick one of those teams growing up in Chicago and not to take an interest in baseball. Because Chicago
Period.
Chicago
Period.
loves baseball teams.
Yes. There are two baseball teams in Chicago. There's the White Sox and the Cubs. I'm a South Sider, so I've been a White Sox fan all my life. My first favorite team that I ever loved, oddly enough, was the St. Louis Cardinals, which will always be a mortal enemy of the Cubs. And I still get asked to this day by friends I grew up with, um, how can you love the Cardinals? Don't you love the Cubs? Hell no, I don't like the Cubs. I'm a South Sider. I can't do that.
All right, Snowman, you got to break this down for us. So within the city, there's a bit of a regional thing. So what? The South Side
Yep.
folks, the White Sox, and the
And the
and
North
the
Side has the Cubs.
okay, okay, that's interesting.
Hmm.
Okay.
It's like Mets. It's like Mets and Yankees. Only as crazy as this sounds, it's like Mets and Yankees. Only it's more intense in Chicago. In Chicago, you have to pick a side. You cannot. Growing up with my dad and my granddad, God rest both their souls, you cannot choose. You cannot love both teams. You are either a White Sox fan or you are a Cub fan. And I don't care how bad the season is or how great the season is. I'm a South Sider to my heart. And that's not only honoring my favorite baseball team, but it's also honoring the men who were in my life. And I lost my dad in 2007 to prostate cancer. And I will never forget everything he taught me about baseball. He nor my granddad.
Okay. Well, baseball, baseball in this country, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, it's going through some changes. I mean, at one point we had the Negro Leagues,
Yep.
and after integration, the Negro Leagues kind of got absorbed
Hmm.
into MLB, right?
Into Major League Baseball.
And then, so for most of my childhood, that's the other thing. In Buffalo, the big in the inner city, the big sports were basketball and football. I mean,
Hmm.
some of our high schools had baseball teams, but it
Not
was
many.
it was basketball and football.
Hmm. It's wild. It's wild though.
What's up?
With so many of the inner cities not, I'll say it honestly, not having baseball in their schools, in their high schools, it's so hard for for black children to get interested in baseball because they don't see it amongst their group.
That's right. That's right. All right. So Jim Durham inspired you to get behind the mic.
Yes.
Did you study this in school, or did you intern somewhere? How did you get started?
I studied by listening to Jim voices like Jim Durham and Vince Scully and John Rooney, Ernie Harwell for the Tigers, John Sterling for the Yankees. And I took two classes in college, both at Chicago State University. I took a television class and I took a radio class. The rest of it I learned on the fly. And how I did my first game. Um, I was at Chicago State University, December of 1995. And my friend Kevin had checked out a camera from the speech and theater department. And asked him, "Can you attach a microphone to that?" And he said, "Yeah, what do you have in mind?" And this wicked smile came across my face. And I said, "I have an idea. I want to try something." So we got the microphone. We went over to the gym, the old arena, and Craig Hodges was the coach of the Chicago State Cougars at the time. And we asked, can we film this game and can we do like a what would now termed a mock broadcast for it? So they said, yeah, go for it. Hello, Winnie. My little kitten Winnie decided to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good
Hello,
morning,
Winnie
Winnie.
Pooh. So we went over the only thing was we had to film like upstairs on the track. And we're like, no problem. So armed with the dress clothes I had at the time, shirt and tie, and only the rosters, that was my first call. Chicago State hosting Northern Illinois. And I repeated a stat that I didn't think happened. TJ Lux was the star center for Northern Illinois at the time. He was a center. He was a freshman. And I said during our wrap up that TJ Lux finished with 26 points and 14 rebounds. And Kevin looked at me and said, "Are you sure those were his numbers?" I said, "Kevin, I don't know. I don't have pen to paper." And he said, "Let's go find out." So we went downstairs, and Bill Baker, the longtime fabulous voice of Northern Illinois and the first um, announcer I ever met, we asked him for a score sheet. And he said, "All right." And we looked at it, and wouldn't you know, 26 points and 14 rebounds for TJ Lux. I looked at Kevin and he looked at me and he goes, "You were calculating this somehow." I wish I knew how. But that was my first game, December 7th, 1995. Totally off of a total idea, and off to the races we went.
Hmm. Okay. All right. Before I ask you about how you started the Snowman channel, let's go back to Chicago. What are some of your favorite sports memories in Chicago as a
Oh
fan?
man. Let's see. There's
There's so
man,
many.
where do I begin? There's there's the shot by Michael Jordan against the Cavs, May 7th, 1989. Um, June 12th, 1991, Bulls win their first title. Many battles with the Bulls and the Detroit Pistons, because
Hmm.
I can always equate that to my high school, to my junior and senior high school days. Because as much as I playfully hated the Detroit Pistons, that was one of the best rivalries in basketball, in NBA
Yes, it was.
basketball. And I loved the way the Pistons were built. And I loved the way back then that the NBA had a basic rule. To be the champs, you got to beat the champs. It was pretty simple. And when the Bulls figured it out in 1991, off to the races they went. There's the White Sox winning the World Series, October 26, 2005. The Bears winning their Super Bowl title, uh, January 26, 1986 in New Orleans.
85 Bears. Yep.
Yep, 85 Bears.
Super Bowl shuffle.
Yes, the Super Bowl shuffle. Man, I was in 8th grade. The entire school was singing that song. The entire school was singing that song. And one of the backup guards, Stephon Humphreys, visited our school
Okay.
right before the Super Bowl.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Right before the Super Bowl. And then of course the Bears went down to New Orleans and beat the daylights out of the Patriots, which we all knew was going to happen. Everybody in America, except for Patriots fans, who some are still playfully salty to this day, everyone knew that the Bears were going to go down to New Orleans and crown the Patriots.
Hmm.
The first year I got into football, there was the catch. Montana to Clark to beat the Cowboys. And that made me a 49er for life.
Really?
Yes. That made me a 49er for life, because that's when I fell in love with Joe Montana and all that he did for the game and all he did for the 49ers. As far as this humble household goes, there are two teams. My team, which is the 49ers, and my beloved wife Jody's team, which is the Indianapolis Colts. So we watch both teams every Sunday. Unless the off chance happens that they play each other, which they did on Sunday Night Football 2 years ago. So there's that. There's the Colts winning their Super Bowl against the Bears. Saw that one live. There's just so many memories. But the first one I can point to was Montana to Clark beating the Cowboys. That got me started.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay. Yeah. When you talk about the shot, yeah, I remember seeing the shot. I was in 7th grade, and I'd never seen anything like it. I was watching this. Someone uploaded a short on YouTube a couple days ago, and I just watched
Yeah.
it over and over and over and over again. And then the Pistons, I came in the year of the shot. So it turns out that the Bulls lost to them in the semifinal round the previous year.
Yes.
And it was a different game. We'll talk about this.
Yes.
The stakes were high,
Mm-hmm.
and there was an element of theater in that too.
Oh man,
You
was
you
there ever?
you really wanted. I was on your side,
Mm-hmm.
and I really wanted the Bulls to win. And every time the Pistons, they they bully the Bulls and they out physical them, and
Yep.
it
And
just
that
it
was
just broke your heart.
that was the advantage the Pistons had, though.
Yes.
Thinking
Yes.
about it, that was the advantage the Pistons had, and that's where they singed in on beating the Bulls. 88 in the East semifinals, 89 and 90 in the East finals, but then the Bulls got it right and outthought them in 1991, which led to the sweep.
Yeah. Well, Snowman. So what do you? Another realistically, another part to that was the Pistons. They aged
Mhm.
out. Do you think that's what it completely was, or do you think the Bulls just figured it out?
They figured it out.
Okay.
They snatched their soul. They two advantages the Bulls had in 1991. One, they had home court advantage in the Eastern Conference Finals, and two,
Yes.
3 years of frustration because we didn't know who the Pistons were going to be in 1988 when we saw them in the East semifinals. And the Pistons were on the rise back then because remember in 88 they faced the Lakers in one of the most epic 7-game series I personally have ever watched. All right. 89 they got it right, swept the Lakers. Thank you, Joe Dumars. Because I've always hated, and I mean this playfully. I've always hated Joe Dumars, but I love this play. I love Joe Dumars.
Yep.
And 97 games, Bulls and Pistons go all 7 games. The 7th game was on a Sunday, and they beat us 93-74. And it seemed like we had no chance in Game 7. Game 6, we snatched their heart, beating them 109-91
Yeah.
on a Friday night. And then Game 7 up in the Palace. Okay, Pistons, Bulls, the Palace of Auburn Hills, CBS, Vern Lundquist, and 19,000 Maniacs. You put all that together, you may as well put it in the book that the Pistons were going to win. But the second advantage that the Bulls had in 1991 was psychologically because they had the best record in the East. They won the Central Division, and that was their first division title since 1975 when they won the Midwest Division. They were playing the Western Conference at the time. And they just outthought them. As much pressure as the Pistons put on the Bulls for 3 years, the Bulls did it to them in 1991, and that picked them apart.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. So let me ask you this, Snowman, and then we'll move on. The Pistons. Do you think with a healthy Laker backcourt of Magic and Byron Scott, do you think the Pistons
Another 7-game war.
another 7-game war? Yeah.
It would have been another 7-game war. But you play the cards that you've been dealt.
Yeah.
Well, you always have to play the cards you've been dealt because people want to make the excuse that the Lakers weren't healthy when they faced us in 1991. Well, if they weren't healthy, they weren't healthy.
Yeah.
You play the cards you've been dealt because I still think in 1991 we'd have beat them in 5 games. We'd have beaten the Lakers in 5 games, even with a healthy James Worthy, even with a healthy Byron Scott, because the Bulls won 3 in a row with them on the floor. So who's to say we wouldn't beat them a 4th time and wrap up the series?
Hmm. Okay. All right. So Snowman, tell us about your show. Tell us about your broadcasts.
Well, I have 2 that I do daily. Snowman in the Morning came about via a dare because I was always responding to people's opinions but never put my own out there. So, October 1st, 2013, with a mixer, a small mixer, um, a headset microphone, and my laptop, and a way to broadcast live to the masses, although they weren't getting in the masses at the time. That's when Snowman in the Morning was born. And it's a 2-hour show. I've integrated some great guests on the program, and the same holds true for the Brian Snow Show in the afternoon. But that one has more of a twist. It's kind of a sports show, but it's not. That's when the afternoon show is like my variety show when I talk to any and everybody, talk about any and everything. But sports is the base. My brilliant executive producer and my one of my best friends, Cole Johnson, came up with the phrase where sports is the base, life and fun are the result. That's the afternoon show. For Snowman in the Morning, uh, It's the hottest of hot takes and the coldest of cold hard facts. He came up with both of those. And this October we'll be celebrating the show's 10th year.
Wow. Okay. All right. Um, um, so let's go back to the NBA right now.
All right.
Because there's something that's very, very unique about your show. Something, and you guys need to copyright that if you haven't copyrighted it.
We're working on it, actually.
So I'm going to play this drop, and I think one of the unique things about what we just talked about
Mhm.
regarding, I consider that era the golden age of the NBA. I mean,
Yes.
funny, every generation, just like music, every generation will probably say our generation is the best. Our
Right.
generation, we have the best rap music, we have the best. I consider that the golden age of the NBA, and
Mhm.
I think one of the things that made it special was that you had to build your team. You had to
Yes.
draft the players. You had to draft the right players. They had to stay healthy. You had to have the right coach, and you had to build that team as a unit, and it had to evolve.
And you had to have the
Well,
right management.
the core had to evolve over the years. You couldn't just sign this free agent and that free agent
Right.
like you can today. Well, let's talk about this guy.
What do you mean, what's my version?
Well, did he think that the game was tied, or did he think that you guys had it salted away?
How do I know that?
Or did you discuss it at all with him at the end of the play?
No. They asked me if I talked to JR about it. I said no already.
All right, you and Cole have given this guy his own, him and his, no, you've given his fans their own term. They're like jungle clones. On the joke, everyone, for those of you who don't know, that's a nod to the Jim Rome show.
Mhm.
Where well, first of all, who's the GOAT? And then
Michael Jordan.
where did the bronze sexual
That's
phenomenon
all
start?
that's all my partner, Cole Johnson, because
Okay.
he coined the term. And the first one that he did on his show, Cole Sports, had me laughing out loud. So after about a year, I went to him and I said, "Do you mind if I borrow Bronze Sexual Confessions and put it on my show?" And he says, "Yeah, go ahead." Well, when he created it, it was supposed to have a finite finish, a finite
Mm-hmm.
date.
Mm-hmm.
Well, as you can tell, it does not, because there's going to be someone that's going to say something utterly ridiculous. So what we do is we just take full advantage of it. So he's the creator of Bronze Sexual Confessions. I just borrowed it with his permission and put it on my show, to the point where um my wife and I one night we were reading this quiz, and I read the first question to her and I said, "What is one word that your mate says?" And before I could complete the question, she says bronzexual. And I laughed my head off. But yeah, Cole came up with bronzexual confessions. I
Okay.
just adapted it.
Well, salute to Cole. I have another LeBron classic right here.
Oh,
Does it bother you that so many people are happy to see you fail?
Absolutely not. Because at the end of the day, all the people that was rooting on me to fail, at the end of the day, they got to wake up tomorrow, have the same life that they had before they woke up today.
Okay. That
my
one was
next four
powerful.
words are as follows: Who
That one was
told this lie?
that one was powerful because he lashed back out at all his critics.
Hmm.
I mean, and They just lost to the Dallas Mavericks,
Yep.
and I think he had probably been hearing the criticism all year for leaving
Yep.
Cleveland, and
Yep.
there was just bitterness in what he said. So I'd never seen anything
You could hear
like
the
that before.
bitterness. You could hear the bitterness drip off of his voice.
Yeah.
You could hear the bitterness drip off of his voice.
Yeah. And I think for him, I mean, he was anointed the king when he first came into the league.
Yep.
He didn't really earn that title.
And that's the
And
chief thing that bothers me.
well, then there's that, and then there's he arguably started the hopping teams phenomenon.
Yep.
KD didn't start that.
No, he did not.
None of these other guys started that. He's the one that started that.
And the thing with KD is KD left for a reason. And that reason was Russell Westbrook.
Okay.
Big difference.
So, Snowman, so in the whole GOAT argument, why, in your eyes, why not LeBron? I mean, he's a super athlete. He's kind of Magic Johnson like. he can shoot it when he wants to. He can post up. He can dish the ball. Is that
you are actually going to look me in my, you are actually going to look me in my eyes and ask me that question?
I want to hear it from the master here. Yeah, I just don't think he's aggressive enough in every game. But go ahead.
Where do I begin? It doesn't. There are two sentences I can say.
Mm-hmm.
He's ruined the game. He's ruined the NBA. Because we can anoint the king Sir Flop-a-Lot. There's what my friend Victor said, that chicken wing jumper of his. Everybody just anointed him the next greatest player, and he never got to that level. The closest he got to that level was after 2008, after a 7-game war with the eventual world champion Boston Celtics. And we just expected him to ascend, and take that next step, make your game better, make your team better. Here's a problem. It never happened. Because in 2009, he got spanked by Dwight Howard. Remember 2009? Everybody was hyping LeBron versus Kobe.
That's right.
NBA championship. Of course, ESPN had to be involved in the production of those commercials. ABC had the NBA finals.
That's right.
One problem. Someone forgot to alert the Orlando Magic, and they beat them up in 6 games. Had it not been for a buzzer beater from LeBron, it would have been a 5-game conquest. Because remember, LeBron won the game in game 2, 96-95. Had he not hit that jumper, because Orlando wiped out a 26-point deficit in that game. Cleveland led by 26 points in game 2 of the East Finals in 2009. Orlando wiped it out, and a Hedo Turkoglu jumper gave him the lead, 95-93. And then LeBron hits a miraculous shot to win the game. It only delayed the inevitable for a game. And in my eyes, he's never taken that next step until he started hopping teams, until he teamed up with Dwayne Wade and wrecked the Miami Heat. Then he comes back to Cleveland, brings Kevin Love and Chris Bosh. He brings Kevin Love with him to Cleveland. I don't need to explain what happened there. And now he's ruined one of the most stable franchises in sports in the Los Angeles Lakers. Mm-hmm. I've had so many bronsexuals say to me, "You can't say that about LeBron." Oh yeah, watch the game.
Okay, before I ask you about how he ruined the game and he ruined the Lakers, yeah, I think a lot of us were looking for him to tough it out in Cleveland that first time.
Yep.
Maybe they make a few more roster changes, but we were looking for him to kind of lead the charge,
Mm-hmm.
take his lumps, but ultimately ascend from those defeats the way Michael did, the way
Right.
the way the Pistons did all those years of losing to the Celtics. And
Yep.
but
The
and
way,
when he
the way
when he hot,
Patrick Ewing did with the Knicks for many years. Because
yeah,
remember, the Knicks weren't all of that when Patrick Ewing was drafted.
yeah. And then when he took his talents to South Beach, it's like you're going to another team.
That's an hour of television viewing I will never get back in my life.
All right, well, Snowman, here's a 16-second refresher.
In this fall, man, it's very tough. In this fall, I'm going to take my talents to South Beach and join the Miami Heat.
Miami Heat. That was the conclusion you woke up with this morning.
That was the conclusion I woke up with this morning.
You had to wake me up to get coffee for those 16 seconds.
That was the conclusion I came to this morning. So talk about
and I came to the conclusion we were going to have fun with it anyway.
yeah. Talk about ruining the NBA and ultimately ruining the Lakers. What does that mean?
I'll put it in the form of a question. Where have the fundamentals gone? Because when he showed up, he was raw. Okay? Same could be said with Kevin Garnett when he came into the NBA in 1995. Big difference is Kevin Garnett worked on his game. LeBron James has not. He's taken 5 steps to get to the hoop. He lowers his shoulder every time he drives to the basket. He's gotten by on his athleticism for 20 years. There has been no improvement in his game whatsoever. None. There has been no improvement in his footwork. There's been no improvement in his post game. There's been no improvement in his jump shot. Jump shot? What jump shot? Everybody wants to compare him to Michael Jordan. Let me throw this stat out there. You know Michael Jordan's career free throw percentage? 83.2. You know what LeBron's career free throw percentage is? As of this moment, 74.4. You do the math.
Okay. All right. Do you think the Lakers are going to win another one with him on the tail end of his career?
May I speak freely?
Sure.
Hell no.
Okay.
When he knows they can rebuild again and truly rebuild. I've always said LeBron is a fabulous athlete. There is no denying that. There will never be any denying that. He is a fabulous athlete. He's just not a good basketball player.
Interesting. Okay. Well, it certainly doesn't help that they have Denver out there. It
doesn't help that they have Denver. It doesn't help they have the Golden State Warriors to compete with. It doesn't help that they have themselves to compete with. Because until they realize that the game needs to go through Anthony Davis, then they will always compete with themselves. How do you think they got by Golden State in 6 games? They used their power. And the power goes through Anthony Davis, not LeBron.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, my one, if I were coaching him, I would just ask him to be more aggressive each time down the floor. Stop being so
passive,
unselfish. At times he's too unselfish. And with that size and the skill level that he has, he could be a 30-point a night scorer.
You know what I'd ask him? Develop a post game.
That too.
Develop a post game. Work on your footwork. Have a move you can commit to memory.
Okay. All right. So that's Snowman on LeBron.
Somehow you knew you'd be cracking up when you brought this to me.
Well, you know that his fans, I'll give it to him. They are loyal. They are loyal. I don't know if you're ever on Twitter, but I mean, you see these arguments break
You
out
ain't
on
got to tell.
Twitter, and his
You ain't
fans
got to
are
tell me.
loyal.
I've seen him. Seen
Yeah,
him. Been there. Done that. Got the T-shirt. Burnt it when I got done with it. You ain't have to tell me twice.
yeah. I would be curious to see how he would do in a league with contact. The contact that
One
Michael or
game
Larry.
against the bad boys.
Yeah.
Period. That's all I got to say. One game against the bad boys. That ends LeBron James. Period.
Okay. So Snowman, we have my resident Laker super fan here, Abdul
Oh dear.
Gaines. He says 4 MVP awards, 4 titles, 3 different teams, 4 Finals MVP awards with 3 different teams. Why the slander?
Oh, that's easy. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's got 6 titles. Michael Jordan's got 6 titles. Michael Jordan's got 6 Finals MVPs, all with the same team. 6 is greater than 4, according to my math. Oh, by the way, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar has 6 MVP awards. Michael Jordan's got 5 of them. Next question. Oh, by the way, you want to do that with different teams? How about the case of Robert Horry? He's got 7 titles with 3 different teams. Try again.
Mhm. Well, Snowman, I will say that on LeBron's behalf, it is impressive that he was able to go to the finals that many consecutive
Uh-huh.
years.
How many of these did he take? When it comes down to it,
Yeah.
you're not judged by your stats. You are judged by the number of titles. And right now, there are quite a few players that have more than he.
Okay. And you don't think he's going to get another one before he retires?
Nope.
No.
He's done.
Yeah. I think if they keep running into Denver, I mean, they'd have to make some major roster moves.
They need to get a center that ain't named Anthony Davis. Someone that can compete with Nikola Jokic, who is the best damn player in the game right now.
Mm-hmm.
You run the offense. Listen, running the offense through Davis is one thing. Running the offense through Nikola Jokic, something completely different because you can't teach 7'2" and 280. Just like back in the day with the Lakers, you can't teach 7'2" and 265. Captain Skyhook, hello. The most indefensible shot in the game. The 2 most indefensible shot of the game. The 2 most indefensible shots in NBA history came courtesy of the 2 people who I think are the greatest of all time. One wore 33, Abdul-Jabbar. The other originated number 23. I don't need to say his name.
Okay, Abdul, I appreciate this. Job trying hard to uphold the Jordan media propaganda machine.
Okay, I got a question for Abdul. Do you actually watch the game? I mean, truly watch the game? Because I judge a player not only by his stats, but by impact. Next question.
I can personally
Propaganda my tail.
Yeah, I can personally vouch that Abdul does watch until his team is eliminated. So I think
Understood.
once the
Understood.
Lakers are eliminated,
I know he wants. I know he watches. I know he watches. I just got to give him mess for. I just got to give him mess for that. Abdul, I know you watch the game. I know you watch the game, or you wouldn't have the comments that you do. I am playing around. I am not questioning your basketball knowledge, nor will I ever, because there are people that know a lot more than I, that have been around a lot longer than I. I just tease them and have fun with it.
Yeah. Well, going back to my point, yeah, I wonder. I mean, there are a lot of people who say Steph wouldn't be as good as he is in the '80s in the early '90s. So
He's right.
I'd love to
Well,
see LeBron match up against Rodman or Anthony
I'd love to
Mason
see. I'd
or
love to see LeBron. Here's a dream matchup. I'd love to see LeBron match up against James Buddha Edwards, 7 foot tall with a turnaround with a turnaround shot. And Abdul, like I said, I was only playing around with you, my friend. I like you. I've watched the NBA over 4 decades. I've watched the NBA for 4 decades, and I've seen him come and go. I'd love to see LeBron match up with one of my favorite centers of all time. You know, a lot of people are saying LeBron can play a lot of positions. Give you that. Give you that. He's a fabulous athlete. I want to see LeBron. I would love to have seen LeBron go one-on-one with Moses Malone
Mhm.
or Kevin McHale.
So Snowman. So let's shift from LeBron to Michael, because one of Abdul's many assertions is that Jordan beat a bunch of tomato cans in the NBA Finals. Have you ever heard that?
Tomato cans, milkmen, postal delivery drivers. Yeah, I've heard that propaganda machine. And it ain't true.
Okay. Yeah. So that there are those attempts to discredit Michael's 6 titles by saying, "Oh, he didn't beat a healthy Laker team. He beat an aging Pistons team. He didn't beat this. He
To
didn't
all
beat."
those people, I say, shut up. You beat the team that is in front of you. No excuses. If you're one of the 2 best teams remaining, you got there for a reason. Period. Injuries or not, because the Lakers had no business getting to the NBA Finals in 1989. But after they beat the hell out of the Phoenix Suns, they ran into a healthy Detroit Piston team. End of story. The Lakers were not healthy. The Pistons were. The Pistons took advantage of it. Next. And if you think about it, the Lakers were striving for a repeat in 1983. They lost James Worthy to a broken foot, but they got to the World Championship Series. They just ran into Moses Malone and the Philadelphia 76ers. And one point about that series, the Lakers led every game at halftime, and they got swept.
Are you talking about the Pistons?
I'm talking about Philadelphia beating the Lakers in '83. Okay. The Lakers led every single game of that series at halftime.
Okay. Abdul says, "No one disputes Kareem's greatness. He played for my Lakers. LeBron is an all-time great.
No, he's not. I'll stop you right there. No. Hell to the no. I've seen better. Far better teams in finals. Yeah, right. I'll kill that right there. This is fun, though. I will admit, this is fun.
You know, and that first things lined up just right for the Miami Heat when they
yes, they did.
If Kawhi Leonard hit that free throw, if he hit that one free throw,
that would have made it a 4-point game in Game 6. Instead, it wound up a 3-point game. LeBron gets an offensive rebound out to Ray Allen. He hits a 3 out of the corner, tie game. Miami does the rest. You play with the circumstances you've been dealt. You play the game to win. And I'm not saying LeBron doesn't. Don't get it twisted. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is I've seen better. Far better. You want a dream matchup? Now, let me say again, LeBron's a fabulous athlete. Fabulous. Put him in the torture chamber against Kevin McHale. Because Kevin McHale and Abdul, you know this from your Lakers facing Kevin McHale. Kevin McHale used to kill people down in the post. This is before they got the ball to Robert Parrish.
All right. So the Lakers, and then we'll jump to something else.
All right.
The Chris Paul trade. Do you think if David Stern let that go through, they would have won more with Chris Paul?
No.
As the point guard?
No.
Why?
Oft injured. Your best ability is availability. And Chris Paul has shown throughout his career he hasn't been that available, especially
Mhm.
late in his career.
Okay. Okay. Because a lot of people think that David Stern blocking that forever kind of doomed that prevented Kobe from winning another one.
Who told this lie? Look at Chris Paul's career. What has been the one thing that has dogged him? Injuries.
All right,
Oh, yeah.
Abdul. Yeah, he says Mikhail was a great player, the greatest post moves I've seen from a power forward. My Lakers beat him 2 out of 3 in the finals.
85 and 87. 85 in 6 games, 87 in 6 games.
Okay, so Snowman, so you on your you were talking to another gentleman. What are you seeing from this rookie from France? Wembanaya, is that his name?
Next.
Well, no, come on, man. I mean, he's a young kid. He's tall. He's wiry. He needs to stay
Yeah,
with
there's
his
the
peers.
problem.
But
7 foot. Listen, I want to see the kid succeed. I
Mhm.
do. I want to see the young man succeed. I want him to be the face of the NBA. Physically, there are 2 problems. One is his footwork. The other is his upper body strength. Because when you're facing a guy that tall, I'm not saying he has to really, really bulk up, but he's got to have some girth to him. To be 7'4" and only 210 pounds, I believe that's his current weight. Problem. And I hate to make this comparison, but anybody who's a Connecticut Husky fan remembers the name Hasheem Thabeet. He was physically worn. He couldn't get back on defense. Do I see that for Wembanyama in the future? No, but we're not going to be able to make a proper comparison for Wembanyama until 2 years from now. We have to see his progression. And I think the Spurs made the correct decision in shutting him down and not playing summer league after 2 games. Dude's got to get ready. He's got to get ready. He's got to lift. He's got to run. He's got to learn post moves. He's got to work individually with coaches. And I know the voice of the Spurs, a very dear friend of mine, and Bill Schoenig, someone who I plan to have on throughout the season to talk about the Spurs. Wemby Mania is going to seize control of the NBA. Make no mistake about it. Make no mistake about it. Okay? He just needs to get ready for it. And I mean that physically. I want to see his free throw percentage go up. I want to see his shooting percentage from inside and outside. I want to see him really develop his package. And he's got a package. He's got a package, but he's a couple of years away. It's the problem that I have with 19-year-olds and 20-year-olds coming into the NBA being so raw and not having that full or close to full development. We're not going to be able to judge what kind of player Wembanyama is going to be for another couple of years. And what the Spurs are doing is correctly not letting him play summer league basketball. He's got to develop. He's got to get ready. I wouldn't be surprised if they let him go down to the G League, to the Austin Spurs for a half a season. Let him develop that way. That way, when you get him in the league season, and we're talking about October to June, or regular season, October to April, within that time frame, we'll be able to see what Victor Wembanyama can be. Within that time frame, because we're talking about an 82-game season. 82 games. He's got to be a thoroughbred. He's got to be a little bit of everything. He's got to be a center and he's got to be a thoroughbred. He's got to be a thoroughbred. And right now he's not.
Okay. Well, they probably also don't want him to get hurt.
Exactly.
All those young guys are out there trying to prove themselves.
Yep.
I
They're
saw
all trying to
a
win
little bit.
Here's the difference. Victor has his job already.
Yeah.
Wemby has his job already. No need to risk it with an injury.
Yeah, so I saw a little bit of his first game. I was at a sports bar or something, and I was looking up the TV, and he wasn't going near the basket.
Yeah.
He was hanging out on the 3-point line shooting.
Right.
Quite a few.
Yep.
And yeah, it's a different thing whichever level he was playing at in France. If he was playing with kids his own age.
Right.
With his build, yeah, that's going to be a huge difference once he gets into the NBA with guys twice his size.
The thing. That's the thing. He's got to be built. And I mean that physically. I want to see him develop a skyhook. I want to see him develop a post game and a skyhook, but that's going to take a couple of years. That's going to take a couple of years.
Okay. Do you think the NBA was better off when before the kids were coming straight from high school?
Yes. Yes. Because in college it forces you to develop. It forces you to trust your coach. It forces you to trust your teammates. It forces you to trust your own game. And if you don't have all the tools yet, you develop them.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a different thing. It's a different landscape than it was 30 years ago where guys would come in as juniors or seniors.
Right.
They were more physically mature. They were more physically mature. They had learned some fundamentals. But it's a two-edged sword because they want to make good their basketball IQ.
Not just their IQ, they were mentally mature.
Yeah.
They were mentally mature coming in as juniors and seniors.
Yeah. Yeah. So they were more ready, arguably more ready to contribute.
Yes. And if you weren't ready, the coach sat you down and gave you instruction. These kids nowadays don't want to be coached. Big difference. Big difference. These kids nowadays think, they're just hot stuff coming out of college. I played a year at college. Now I can get to the NBA and make all this money. Wrong answer. Not if you're not producing. Zion Williamson, hello.
Yep. Okay. All right. So next season, Snowman, do you foresee we'll jump over to the NFL. Do you foresee a Denver repeat or what are you guys seeing on your end?
I'll save that. I have my West final pick, but I will save that.
Okay.
There's a few things I need to see first, but I believe I have my Western Conference final selected.
Okay. Does it involve our favorite purple and gold team or you don't want to say?
No.
Okay. So all right. Because they made some quick moves to try to update their roster
But did they make the right moves?
That's a good question.
Did they make the correct moves? We won't know about all the free agency moves until the ball goes up in October. And you'll have the entire season to judge.
Okay. So since we're talking about our favorite purple and gold team, Snowman, what did you think about the bubble title?
Next.
Hold on, no. Do you think they would have won that if the season played out? I mean, we'll never know.
No.
The season played out.
I'll answer your question right now. Listen, with everything that was going on in the world, I get why people think it would have played out the same way. No, it wouldn't have. No, it would not have. But things fell in the Lakers' favor. Denver was not healthy. Golden State was in the trash. Utah, Houston, they were all like teetering on the edge. They were all teetering on the edge. So it just fell. It just fell right. And plus, the Lakers went through Anthony Davis.
They went through Anthony Davis. I don't know if Abdul Gaines is still out there, but the Clippers had beat them 2 out of 3 that season too, in the regular season. And
they choked a 3-1 lead when it counted.
That's true. They did. But I'm just saying. I'm saying had there been no bubble, had there been no stoppage, I just wonder how that whole thing would have played out, and if it would have played out the same way.
Well, first of all, it's the Clippers, for God's sakes.
Yeah.
Does that tell you anything?
Well, see, now you and Abdul agree on something.
It's the Clippers. The Clippers could own every season series in the book. When it comes to playing beyond April 15th,
yeah,
they got issues. They can't play beyond April 15th. I mean, one appearance in the conference final since they were the Buffalo Braves. One. Next.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. The NFL. There's been some movement in the NFL.
Yep.
Where have you guys made any predictions on your show yet about who's going to win the Super Bowl or who?
NFC Championship will be a repeat of this past year.
Okay.
Philadelphia and San Francisco. It just depends on who gets the 1 seed or who gets the 2 seed.
Okay.
That's it. Philadelphia and the 49ers and the Eagles are the 2 best teams in the NFC. Period. The 2 best teams in the AFC, well, I can tell you the best team in the AFC, and they're the defending champions. That's the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't think Josh Allen and the Bills are ready to take that next step into AFC Championship game status because they're leaning on Josh Allen too darn much. I have said this about the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen, and don't get me wrong, they're a great team. Don't get me wrong, but they do not have a running game.
I don't consider, I'm a Buffalo native, so that's my team. I don't consider them a great team, not the way they played against Cincinnati at home.
They allowed
in the snow
415 yards to the Cincinnati Bengals. 173 of those came on the ground. And Buffalo is supposed to be one of the best rushing defenses in the AFC. Not with what I saw. It's a long way from the K-gun offense. It's a long way. Listen, I've seen people make comparisons from of Josh Allen to Jim Kelly. And I said, pump the brakes a little bit. We're talking about a different animal here. Jim Kelly came to Buffalo and was blessed with the right offense. Marv Levy and company put the right pieces around Jim Kelly. Thurman Thomas, hello. Andre Reed, James Lofton. Who else was there? Don Beebe,
Keith McKellar.
Metzelaars, Pete Metzelaars. Carwell Gardner. Folks don't think I remember Carwell Gardner. One of the few fullbacks in Buffalo Bills history.
Yeah. Don Beebe.
Who
eventually got one with the Packers.
Yeah, he did. But you're talking about a different time frame. And one of the products of the K-gun offense, they ran the football. They had Thurman Thomas, and then they had Rob Riddick. Rob Riddick was the main guy before Thurman Thomas took over in '89. So as long as Buffalo is minus a running game, they're not going to compete.
No.
Not as well as they need to. They're leaning on Josh Allen too much.
No. And they're going to have to figure out how to slow some of those other teams down. I mean, you can't stop anybody today.
They need to They need to figure out their rushing defense. They need to figure what has befell the Buffalo Bills the last 2 seasons. The rushing defense. Kansas City lit them up at Arrowhead Stadium. We know what Cincinnati did to them at Rich Stadium in Buffalo, in Orchard Park. And yes, I still call it Rich Stadium.
Yeah, New Era Field, it doesn't sound right.
Look, even when people correct me, I still call it Rich Stadium because that's what I grew up seeing. Rich Stadium.
Okay. So you're predicting a rematch in the NFC, and then Kansas City.
Whoever faces Kansas City, you got to play him in Kansas City.
Okay. Yeah, that was the other thing. Buffalo, each of the last couple of years, they've had some sort of mid-season meltdown or some sort of mid-season free fall.
Or now it's gonna be a beginning of the season meltdown with the Stephon Diggs situation.
Mm-hmm. Do you see Aaron Rodgers having a revival in New York of some sort?
Do you see the look on my face?
Hey! What was Stephen A. Smith's line for a while? Aaron Rodgers is a bad man
until he got his tail kicked 4 times in the last 5 years by the San Francisco 49ers. Try again. Aaron Rodgers does not have a revival in New York. Breece Hall or no Breece Hall.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Have you and Cole, you guys talked about the college football landscape coming up?
We're getting there.
All right.
We're getting there.
All right. I'll just say this. It's predicted to be a big year for my team. As we've got most of our offensive starters back.
Yep.
Someone said something interesting though that every third year, I think it was the Steve Dace Michigan podcast. They said every third year you have to look out for Alabama. It takes about 3 years for them to reload.
And I love Steve Dace. I love Steve Dace. I love his podcast. Well, this year you ain't got to worry about Alabama.
Why?
This year you got to worry about the dogs.
Oh, Georgia. Okay.
You got to worry about the dogs. To be the champs, you got to beat the champs.
Okay. Do you like the idea of expanding the playoff to 12 teams?
8.
8.
Start with 8. Start with 8. Because if you should have started with 8. Should have started with 8 because now you're making 2 jumps instead of 1. And the logistics are going to be a nightmare. They've had years to figure this out. Years. All those mythical national championships before the BCS showed up, you had years to figure this out. And you ain't figured it out yet.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, so you're picking Georgia as the team to beat.
3 in a row.
3 in a row. Well, they've still got those. I think they still have both tight ends, right? Even though they're going to change their quarterback out.
Brock Bowers is your Heisman Trophy winner. I'm saying
you're picking him for the Heisman.
Brock Bowers, doggone it. Brock Bowers is the man. All right, Brock Bowers. Whichever team drafts Brock Bowers in a couple of years, they're getting a monster. Like he's not a monster right now, okay? Because he's been a monster since his freshman year. And we all know what he did his freshman year to help Georgia beat Alabama in the national championship at Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis. Brock Bowers is him, okay? You want to use a popular term? Brock Bowers is him. And they got a couple of good quarterbacks waiting in the wings to replace Stetson Bennett. And Stetson Bennett shouldn't have been the starter anyway. Yet he walked his team to 2 national championships.
Hmm. Okay. Brock Bowers
Brock Bowers for Heisman.
for Heisman.
The only thing that stops that is an injury, and we all know injuries can happen. Injuries can happen. Good Lord, they can happen. They can happen to any and everybody. But I will tell you a team to watch in the SEC that could surprise some people. LSU Tigers.
LSU. Okay. Why LSU?
They're flying high off of beating Bama in overtime. Even
So you
though they
think that momentum is going to carry over into
though they got boat raced in the SEC championship in Atlanta, you beat Alabama and Nick Saban, you've done a good thing. You pin a second loss on Alabama in the regular season and keep them out of the playoff, you've done a good thing. That momentum will continue. And besides, I love Jaden Daniels.
Okay. All right. Who do you guys have winning the World Series?
To be the champs, you got to beat the champs. The Houston Astros will figure it out.
Okay.
I don't trust the Texas Rangers. I would like to trust the Atlanta Braves, but I don't. I would love to see a team come out of nowhere. I would love to see the Philadelphia Phillies come out of nowhere and reach the World Series again. But the way it's shaking out right now, to be the champs, you got to beat the champs. And the champs are the Houston Astros.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So, Snowman, we are at an hour and 20 minutes. I want to be respectful of your schedule. So I think I'll wrap us up with this. And if you'd like to come back sometime during football season,
I would love to come back.
okay. And definitely, if the tour comes here to DC, I mean, our teams aren't very good right now.
Listen,
With the Wizards,
the last time I was in DC, I saw RFK Stadium live and in color.
Wow. Okay.
Okay. The last time I saw DC, I saw the Capitol Center in Landover, Maryland. And the tour will come there.
Okay.
Believe me. And for those of you old schoolers, it's not the Washington Wizards. As far as I'm concerned, it's the Washington Bullets.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a traditionalist myself. I'm not going to touch the football team. I know that.
I'll say it. It's the Washington Redskins. I'll say it for you. I mean,
right.
I get why they did it. I understand why they did it. The peer pressure involved with them, but I'm a sports fan growing up, and to me, you always had to deal with the Washington Redskins.
Yep. That's the team that beat our Buffalo Bills in Super Bowl 26. And
listen, I have the song "Hail to the Redskins" on my computer.
Yeah. I think there are quite a few old school Redskins fans here who aren't happy about the change.
Man, let me be in charge of the Redskins. I'd push the plunger and blow everything up on the Commanders and restore the Redskins. No, we're going to pull our sponsorships as you rename them. Bye. I got people in place that'll get more. See you later.
Okay.
I'm sick and tired of this PC stuff. Life's too short.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sick and tired of the Oklahoma City Thunder. Can we please have the Seattle Supersonics back? Please.
Well, Snowman, then you gotta turn the Tennessee Titans back into the
Houston. You doggone right. The Houston Oilers. You got the stadium, NRG Stadium. You got it right there. All right, strip the Texans of that branding and bring back the Houston Oilers, man.
Well, they did it with the Charlotte Bobcats and the Hornets. So yeah, I say bring back the traditional
Bring back tradition in sports,
franchises.
please. That's why professional sports is dying. All the traditions are being blown to smithereens.
Whoa, what does that mean? Professional sports are dying. You think they're
Tradition
very
is
serious?
dying. That's what I tradition's dying. No Houston Oilers, no Seattle Supersonics, um, no Washington Redskins, no Washington Bullets.
Yep.
All the teams I grew up with saying, watching, observing, just as a fan. The world has gone too PC for its own good. I mean, I know we're in the 21st century, we're in the technological age, but how did my dad put it, God rest his soul? If common sense were common, and you can finish the rest of that thought.
Hmm. Well, Snowman, speaking of things dying, and you having a regular show yourself and being well seasoned in this, what do you make of what happened over at ESPN?
Bye-bye. Adios, amigos. Adios, my friend. They put all those people out the pasture to pay Stephen A. Smith and Pat McAfee. Anybody see anything wrong with that? And in many ways, they put the wrong people out to pasture.
Okay.
Malika Andrews, anyone?
Okay.
They put the wrong people. See, here's what happened with ESPN. They went woke, and now they're going broke. They went PC, and it's going to kick them in the rear end. And it's kicking them in the rear end. The worst kept secret was unleashed in 1999 after a 15-year courtship that ESPN was getting in bed with Disney. 15-year courtship, and the most unkept kept secret was unleashed in 1999 when you saw all the enhancements during Monday Night Football. Go.com, part of the Gone Network, in the immortal words of Reese Davis. That was all Disney. You get Disney out of the way, and maybe we'll get proper sports coverage back at ESPN.
You know, Snowman, what's funny is that over in the entertainment and the movie space, they're saying the same things about Lucasfilm and Star Wars and Marvel.
Yep.
Everything Disney is touching
Has gone
is
to
withering.
hell. Has gone to hell. Leave them alone. Let them be who they are. They built their franchises their own way. They earned it. Lucasfilm, the Star Wars franchise, and then the mouse ears shows up. And since the mouse ears has touched ESPN, they're being blown to hell.
Okay. I know there was a period at which, yeah, they were regularly weighing in on social issues.
Yep.
I'm thinking about Jamil Hill. Well, I'm thinking particularly about Jamil Hill.
Don't do that. Don't do that. You'll lose brain cells.
All right. Well, as long as they don't get rid of L. Duncan. Come on, Snowman.
Just a minute. L. Duncan.
L. Duncan. All right, all right,
Give
all
me,
right. Let me quit while I'm
give me
ahead.
this. Give me this button. Where is it? Where is it? Okay. Okay. This is my buddy Chris Bass.
What in the all types of blue hell?
And not only that, all right, now I'm gonna have fun with it. Not only that,
No, 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 no. But.
let me quit. Let me quit.
All right. You and Abdul agreed on something else besides the Clippers. He says, "I'll agree with the world is going to PC comment."
Who hasn't seen it? Who hasn't seen it? The world's gone too PC for its own good. And I'll tell you, besides my parents, one of my comedic heroes who predicted all this, George Carlin. When he said in an interview, CTD, circling the drain. That's what's going on at ESPN right now. They're in scramble mode. And that's why my network's going to blow it to hell and take over.
Okay. Well, Snowman, I'm going to take us out with this question, and I'm sure being involved with sports and covering sports the way that you have, you've probably heard this yourself.
Mm-hmm.
As a country,
What?
What was that?
What?
As a country, are we too obsessed with sports? And what do you say to people who say that individuals like yourself and myself and Abdul were obsessed with sports? Is it a bad thing?
I think Stephen A will answer this.
Stay off the weed.
No. Let me answer this truthfully. There are people that think folks like you and I and Abdul and many others, Cole Johnson, my wife, we're too obsessed with sports. No, we're not. We just love what we love, and we're going with it. Period.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, because I know for the non-sports fan, whether
Mhm.
it's a girlfriend or anybody, could be your mother, could be. I'm not trying to stereotype there, but yeah, I'm sure people look on and say, why do you have to sit in front of the TV for 3 hours to watch this game? Why are you following all these players? Why are you feeling bad over who wins and loses? Why do you have a channel just dedicated to sports? And
Mhm.
people, there's a segment of the population that just doesn't understand it.
People just don't get it. There are a lot of people. There's a segment of the population, like you said, that just doesn't get it. Sports is an escape from the everyday. It's an escape from the world that's being blown up in front of us and everything PC that's put behind us.
I would agree with that. It's an escape. It's an escape, and it serves a lot of purposes.
It does.
I mean, not everybody makes it to. Uh, a lot of kids play when they're younger, and then as you progress in your life,
Mhm.
so not everybody can go to the NBA and play a Division I sport. But
Right.
even though you become a medical doctor or a lawyer or you work in the government, you still have a connection to the sports you played. For some people, that was one of the best times in their lives.
He was.
I That's part of what my book is about. That was an amazing experience, being able to put on a uniform and be a part of a team and to compete. And no matter how old you get, whether you settle into being a fireman or a municipal worker or flipping burgers at McDonald's, you still have a connection to the sport you played.
And everybody talks about it also.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Snowman, it's been 90 minutes. You have anything else? Anything else you want to say right now?
God bless you for having me. I appreciate it, and I'd love to come on again whenever you're ready.
Okay. Yeah, and I'll be watching your content. You dutifully go every day, so
Thank you.
yeah, I'll be keeping my eyes
Thank
out.
you.
Thank you for coming on and educating us on these finer points of athletics and sports history.
Thank you for having me, and God bless you.
All right, talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon.
All right, everyone, I'm gonna wrap the stream up. I just mentioned my book. I'm going to show this really quickly. I do not profess to be the sports aficionado that the Snowman is, and I don't profess to I don't create sports content every day. So that's a testament to his love for what he does and his passion for what he does. But I do write often. My book project, and I'm at the wrong website. My book project is called The Engineers, a Western New York Basketball Story. It is a life/sports story, so it is a bit of a hybrid. I'm looking to finish this in the near future. It's a process that's often never done, even after you publish it. And then that's why people have multiple editions of their book projects. But this is it. The link is in the description box below. If you haven't, please take a look and please leave a comment underneath. There are a lot of materials here in addition to the overview of the two-part book project. It's a two-part book project. So that's there. As a writer, I do have my own newsletter. This link is also in the description box below. There is a 2-paragraph greeting. What you do is there's a 2-paragraph greeting, and then you just hit that subscribe button there at the bottom, and you enter in your email address if you want to be a part of my expanding list, because it's expanding right now. And that's if you read. I was told that a lot of viewers on YouTube, many YouTube viewers don't read anything. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what another content creator said. All right, everyone, I'm going to wrap this up. Thank you again, Snowman, for coming on and talking sports with me. There were a lot of fun things said and things that could be cut up into smaller pieces and uploaded on other platforms. So, yeah, that was fun. All right, everyone, enjoy the rest of your Saturday. If you're watching on the playback, thank you to Abdul. Thank you to Abdul and Alex and whoever else has watched and has not commented. Your eyeballs have been appreciated. And look for more content. Michigan football, the season, the Big Ten season is right around the corner. So Buckeye Alex is going to come back pretty soon, and we're going to talk Big Ten football. This is around the time I reach out to Johnny Olden for a preseason discussion. So if Johnny's willing to come back, I'll happily do a Q&A with him before kickoff against East Carolina at the Big House. And I have more promotional materials for my book project coming out as well. And anything else that I view as pertinent on this channel, you'll see that here as well. Buckeye Alex says, most people don't read, which is sad. Yeah, Buckeye Alex, on my original channel, I did do something on Black boys reading level, the Black male literacy rate in the United States, which is low. But what I'm hearing is that it's kind of low across the board for everybody, which is unfortunate, and which is not good for us as a country. Anyhow, everyone, enjoy the rest of your Saturday. As always, remember that your attitude determines your altitude. Always try to do your best. Take care, and I'll talk to you the next time. Bye-bye. And if you haven't subscribed, check out Snowman's channel. Snowman, he's on every morning. As I said, on many mornings, I am entrenched in a meeting, or I am entrenched in meetings for my day job. So I don't have time to do this every day, and I don't always have time to look over to see what they're talking about on his channel. But Snowman is on every day. So if you haven't, consider subscribing over there. All right, everyone, enjoy the rest of your Saturday. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday. And I'll talk to you the next time. Bye-bye.